On a quiet bank holiday Monday at the end of May 2016, various media outlets began reporting the quite extraordinary news that a member of the UK Parliament had received anywhere between 600 and 5,000 rape threats over a 24-hour period. This video considers how on earth so many people could possibly get away with sending written rape threats to a member of Parliament without so much as a telling off from their social media provider, let alone a criminal conviction. The reason why no one faced charges over the incident is quite simple, because contrary to virtually every newspaper headline, Jess Phillips did not actually receive any rape threats whatsoever. But from her perspective, she experienced something just as bad. Thousands of messages from thousands of people about the different ways that they would not rape her. And in the months that followed, Phillips has offered no less than 3 very definite conspiracy theories to explain why so many people conspired to participate in such a bizarre and, let's face it, distasteful and childish exercise. According to Phillips, the very definite intention of the thousands of men and women who contacted her was to express the opinion that she wasn't good enough, or presumably attractive enough, for them to ever consider sexually assaulting. Or the thousands of tweeters were very definitely pledging not to rape her, simply as a wily way to talk about actually raping her without getting arrested. Or their very definite reason for each individually tweeting her was to consciously, or possibly even unconsciously, participate in a coordinated attack or dogpile with the very definite aim of intimidating a member of Her Majesty's Parliament into silence by causing a significant surge in the volume of notifications experienced by her Twitter service over a bank holiday weekend. Now, unlike Phillips, I don't presume to know the very definite reasons why a relatively small group of people took the time to take to Twitter to pledge not to rape a female MP. But based on my relatively extensive research on the matter, I do presume to propose a fourth possible explanation. And that is to suggest that they were participating in a relatively spontaneous act of Python-esque, or more accurately Chris Morris-esque, tactical frivolity in a direct response to Phillips's own passive-aggressive, pearl-clutching behaviour. In the court of public opinion, context is king, so for context, it is necessary to do a very quick whistle-stop tour of the sensational headlines that Jess Phillips had generated in the months leading up to the incident. Because Phillips herself has clearly offended a great number of people on a number of occasions, including many of her own constituents. And indeed, the incident that really propelled her into the public spotlight involved her somewhat controversial response to a question about gender equality. In the same month that a YouGov survey revealed that almost 50% of men in the UK had at some point considered taking their own life, Phillips attempted to block an application to hold a debate on issues affecting men, flippantly proposing that every day is International Men's Day and declaring that the debate could only proceed once women have equal status within Parliament, which she proposed would be a very long time indeed. Her behaviour was criticised in the national media, and given that the entire outburst was caught on camera, things could have worked out very differently for the self-professed champion of gender equality and victims of domestic and sexual violence.
It happens to men too, you know.
It happens to men.
Do you want a point? It happens to men as well. Oh, yeah, okay.
If it hadn't been for some timely allegations about a huge torrent of abuse, rape and death threats directed at her on social media. Despite some remarkably sensational headlines about the volume and nature of criticism directed at her, anyone taking the time to actually view her Twitter feed will have mostly witnessed constructive and contextualised criticism about what many perceived to have been an MP callously laughing about victims of suicide. And somewhat ironically, the only communication that came remotely close to communicating a credible rape threat was actually tweeted by Phillips herself, as she admits in her subsequent best-selling biography. Dramatic headlines about Phillips's dramatic claims served to not only dramatically flip the focus of the story, presenting her as the victim, but also to dismiss a significant public outpouring of public criticism by disgracefully portraying her critics as faceless, misogynistic abusers. This incident directly led to Phillips's involvement in an extremely exclusive and censorious-minded non-partisan campaign to protect feminists from harsh language and criticism on the internet, which was arguably the main target of the aforementioned tactical frivolity. Because in an oddly prescient foreshadowing of the incident that would follow, Phillips marked the launch of the campaign by writing about her own experiences of online abuse Phillips, and claiming that on one previous occasion she had blocked 700 people in one night who were talking about her rape on Twitter. This was in turn considered by a popular YouTube vlogger and social critic called Sargon in his weekly show This Week in Stupid. He suggested that Phillips regularly blocks people simply for disagreeing with her, and that those 700 odd tweets were probably not even rape threats. He subsequently tweeted Phillips a link to this show along with the words, "I wouldn't even rape you, #anti-rapethreats." Having previously blocked him for disagreeing with her, Phillips didn't actually see this tweet, but when someone else with less than 400 followers replied, she brought his tweet to the attention of her thousands of followers. In the hours that followed, Phillips received 600 notifications about a smaller number of people liking, retweeting and or commenting on both of those tweets. By the end of the following day, this had escalated to approximately 5,000 notifications, including less than 100 actual tweets from less than 100 actual people actually pledging not to rape her. Phillips did not contact the police about the incident, and they have confirmed that they are not aware of any crime having occurred. But with breathtaking proportions of irony, in the very same week that she expressed disgust at the fact that a large amount of people were not prepared to rape her, she was also paid by the BBC to appear in a comedy show where she declared that some people on the internet clearly can't understand a metaphor because they had wasted valuable police time by reporting that she had stated that she was prepared to thrust a knife or other pointed weapon into her party leader with the intention of wounding or killing, when in reality anyone not attempting to make political capital out of her statements knew damn well that she wouldn't even stab him.
Can't you see it too? There's an elephant in the room.